Hey everyone, it's Tim Holtz and I'm here at Sizzix headquarters and I'm excited to introduce you to the new 3D Impresslits. Now, these guys are very cool because they will cut and emboss in the same pass. And you can see there are a variety of designs. We've got these great detailed borders, and these are really cool accents for your papercraft or mixed media projects. We also have things like Medallion. We've got this great detailed Starburst. Love the Laurel leaf here. And even a Flourish. Very, very cool. And you can see here there's a variety of different detailed projects that you can create. You can use these on your cards, you can use them as backgrounds for mixed media, you can highlight a photograph if you want with it, you can combine them with your favorite stamps and other die cuts, and you can even use them for home decor like this clipboard down here. So many creative possibilities. So what is an Impresslit? Well, let's take you through and explain the whole idea behind this. So what this is a 3D texture fade, so it's a 3D embossing folder which is going to give us that great detail, the highs and lows, all of that embossed design, but this contains a die. So it actually contains the ability to not only emboss the shape, but cut it out for you when you run it through your machine. So cool. And you can see here that I want to point out a couple of things. We still have all of that detail in the folder, but this die is embedded into this particular embossing folder, and you can see that when it closes, and I'll try to show this down here, it is designed to cut into this. This bottom area of that folder is really acting as a cutting pad. So you can see as you use it, you're going to get these cut marks in there, and that is by design. All right. So when we work with this, what do we get? Well, here's the cool thing about what an Impresslit can do is it really gives so much great detail of not only that 3D technology of creating all of that intricate high and low and kind of pits and all of these great little detailed marks, but you can see here that it cuts that out. Now this one is the Medallion. What's great about this one is you actually get both of the shapes in the same Impresslit. Then we've got over here these really cool Starbursts, and take a look at the detail. I mean, I can't stress that enough. This is not just kind of this raised and recessed area. You can see how this design tapers in to that center. So you have that really high outer edge, and then it tapers in to create that really nice Starburst Medallion. Over here we've got this Laurel leaf. Look at that. Look at the detail of that. All of those leaves right there, you can see here that it creates those leaf veins, and then it still cuts that out. Now, one that really blows my mind is this one, this Flourish. And this is what I always love about working with Sizzix, that even though it's in the same release, we keep trying to push and push the limits of design. So the Flourish here, bring this over where you can see, not only does it create that 3D embossing, but it cuts it out. But take a look in here. You can see that even inside this design, we've cut out that detail element. So let me reach over here and grab and show you this. Look at that. You can see that we've added those 2 additional dies inside here to really focus on the detail of an Impresslit. Pretty impressive, right? All right. Over here we also have some borders. Now the borders are very cool because we've done them in 2 different sizes. We have kind of a large and a small, and you can see that there's different detail for each one. And that's important because a lot of times when I'm making projects, sometimes I'm making an art journal or a big mixed media project and I want a larger scale border. Sometimes if I'm doing a card, I just want that smaller border. Let's talk about how these work. Pretty easy to do. So when we go to use these, here's what we need to remember when it comes to working with 3D. I'm going to take my paper, and you can work with a variety of paper. This one I'm working with the Ideology metallic craft stock, but you can use your watercolor paper or anything. Going to take this. I need to spray this because it is the 3D, so I'm just going to give it a couple mists on both sides. That's going to kind of soften that. Now I'm going to place this in where the die is going to go onto the top of my material, because it's just like using a thinlet or a framelit. We want to put that die right over the top of what we're going to be cutting out, so I have that metallic side up. Now even though this is a 3D embossing folder with a die, that's why it's called an Impresslit, it's going to impress and actually cut it out, we don't need any special adapters for this, okay? You would use them exactly the same way you use your 3D texture fade, which is our platform, just our base platform, so no thin die adapters, none of that. Even though it contains a die, we don't need anything else. We're just going to take our platform and our one cutting pad. That's it. So everything that we did with the 3D is all the same thing, whether it has that die in it or not. And we're going to run it through our machine 3 times, okay? 3D, 3 passes. Now this one, I'm going to run it 1 time. I'm going to go back again. And the die pretty much cuts it on the first pass, but we want to make sure that we get all of that great detail from our 3D embossing. All right. We're going to take this out. All right. So you can see here that it is cut and embossed. And what we're going to need to do is take our die pick. you're just going to go along one of the little edges and you're just going to lift up the paper. So we don't need to do any type of digging. You don't need to do anything tricky at all. Just grab that little paper and we pop that out. Take a look at that. Are you serious? Look at the detail of not only that 3D embossing, but the fact that it is already cut out for me. That could not be easier. I'm just going to go in. Let's grab this little guy too. So again, I just grab the end right there, just kind of poke right through there. Don't worry. Once it lifts, you can just take your hand and take that out. Look at that little medallion. All of that great detail in these. So let me talk about when we're using the Impresslit borders, because there's a little trick I want to share with you. I'm just going to go in and we'll just take one of these. Now again, these are a little bit longer. You can see that long and skinny compared to the other Impresslit. So here's a trick that I like to do. I'm going to take my paper, my cardstock, and I still want to follow all the same rules. So I'm just going to go in, just going to mist it. Again, it's just a small piece of paper. I'm going to place this down. Again, metallic side up. I'm just going to lay this down. Now, because this goes through the machine and it's going to cut and emboss, it's this long piece that could have a tendency to shift back and forth. Now, I just like to go in with a little bit of tape, little washi tape, and I'm just going to wrap that, okay? Just go all the way around, tear just a little excess, fold that into itself. This will give you kind of a little pull tab when it comes out. But by just taping that down, that's going to help eliminate the fact that it might shift going through the machine. Just a little trick. Then we're going to go in, same thing, place it down, put my cutting pad, and you'll see this goes through. Okay, there's our first pass. And you see that I have it at a slight angle. I do like to always put that in a slight angle. I think it always helps go through the machine if you can just angle it just a little bit. We're going to go back to our second pass. Remember, 3 times 3D. One more time. All right. So once we have this, we're just going to go in, take our tab. That's going to help us take our tape off. Get that out of there. And we're going to take this off. Oh my gosh, so cool. All right, this one, just going to take my die pick. That's just going to help me lift that off. And look at this. I mean, seriously, look at all of that detail, all those tiny little dots that show up down there, all of that great detail and definition, great borders for mixed media. Now, I want to share with you a little example, like, does it really matter to follow all of these tricks? Well, I think it does. So I always believe that showing you your options is really the best way to understand it. This first one is showing you how we can work with the Impresslits just with dry cardstock, one pass. So if you didn't want to spray the paper, if you were doing something, you would still see that it embosses and it cuts it out. But the fact is, by just having dry paper, you don't get as much detail. So the second one shows that, okay, I'm just going to spray the water on my paper, but still only do one pass. Still does that, and you get a little bit more detail than dry paper. But if you look at this last column, you will see that if you do 3 passes with your spray water on your cardstock, you will get the ultimate detail with that Impresslit. See, you can see by just following the rules, you get the most out of the products. And that is what I think is so impressive about the new Sizzix Impresslits.